Jamie.
Okay.
Switcher.
Am I supposed to click?
No. I'm supposed to do some rendering.
Okay. All right. All set, everyone? Okay. Good morning, everyone. First, I want to acknowledge the passing of a great New Yorker. Lieutenant Governor Dick Ravich was a giant among equals. And we think about the modern MTA. He is one of the individuals who believed in this institution so much that he's really credited with saving it back during the tumultuous times of the 1980s. He became a good friend and advisor of mine. We had lunch together not that long ago. He told me all the things I need to do, as he always would. But his work with the MTA, the UDC, and as Lieutenant Governor of the state of New York will always be remembered as part of his legacy. And it is a tremendous loss for all of us as New Yorkers. So our thoughts and prayers go out to his wife, Kathy, his family, and again, from a grateful state of New York for his many, many, many years of service, we say special love to Dick Ravich. We are here at Penn Station. To those of you who never believed this day was come, the train is finally rolling down the tracks. And we are so excited about the news we have today that we're on a one-way journey to a brand new, fully renovated station and beautiful surrounds that this community has waited for and has deserved for a very long time. And this is happening today as we launch the kickoff to the design process, literally today. But it is happening because of the great partnership of the individuals with me here today. This has been a long talked about, sometimes controversial initiative. But standing united here today sends a message that we will get the job done. So I want to thank Jana Lieber, who will be speaking shortly, for continuing to guide this process forward despite all the questions, all the concerns, continue to meet with people, answer them, and make sure they understand what we're going to do is something that we're going to be talked about for generations. Jana Lieber, thank you very much for all the support of this project. Amtrak Board Chair Tony Kosha, thank you, Amtrak. This does not happen without your full-bodied support for what we're doing here today. We're going to continue to draw upon you as an ally in Washington to make sure that we get this finished as well. Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine, I thank him for his leadership here today, helping us pull the community together. Senator Brad Hoylman-Siegel for his representation of the various interests, but making sure that we come together with one unified voice. Assemblymember Tony Simone, the same. We have had many, many meetings, and we're going to be talking about how we're going to get through this together as one. I know our Councilmember Eric Botch will be joining us. I also want to give a special shout out to Jerry Nadler. Jerry was the chair of the Assembly Transportation Committee a long time ago, and we talked about what New Yorkers deserve and have him in his position in Washington, D.C. right now as someone who's going to fight for the resources we need to finish this project. I want to give a special shout out to my former colleague in Congress, our great Congressman Jerry Nadler. So, this has been a project that has had a few setbacks. And I was only on the job a couple of months when I said, why are we still waiting? Why hasn't this moved forward? What excuses can be so great that we deny thousands of New Yorkers the experience that they deserve? So we're going to be talking about the first 3 months on the job. I unveiled our Commuter First initiative. This is not about the rest of the world right now. This is about New Yorkers and their own personal experience as we encourage them to come back on our subways, keeping them safe, keeping them clean, keeping them on time. So that was our first commitment. And then we showed the plans for the LIR concourse. They were completed in the spring of New York, the spring of this year. We've been steadily moving forward since the beginning. Proud to have the support of our friends behind us as well. So I think as soon as they see this project, they'll understand that this is something they're going to be very excited about. So today we're officially announcing the design process for the new station has officially begun. And we're happy to show some of the designs right now. These are just concepts, but to know that we're going to be open now to any architect, any design firm, any engineer, to allow them the opportunity to compete for a position to perhaps be creating this world-class masterpiece. So we're no longer tolerating delays. New Yorkers know my feelings. I've not been shy talking about how this is inferior. It's crowded, it's congested, it's unpleasant. And New Yorkers deserve to have the bright light coming in and shining upon them. So we're excited about this, and we're tired of seeing the underground corridors, they're too narrow, and we're going to improve that as well. So I know we can do better, but there's two realities that we're talking about right now. Number one, we are decoupling this from the prior plan, the GPP. That does not mean that we're not going to be building office space here at some point. It makes sense. We have 600,000 people come through here. It makes sense for them to be able to work in the same place where they commute to. So we'll get that done over time. But I no longer want that to be a delay to this process, which is moving forward today. So ridership is number one. And while the demand for office space is down right now, we believe that this will be temporary. But you know my commitment to building housing. I want to see more housing built, even in this place. It makes sense. So it's a chance for us to rethink the longer-term phase 2 strategy. But phase 1, to me, begins here today with the beginning of the design process, because we are going to be opening up the opportunity to really just focus on this building and the immediate surrounds to create a beautiful space that the neighbors have been waiting for. So we'll focus on all these initiatives, and we only need to see proof of the LIR concourse of what is within our realm of possibility if we continue working together. And we're going to continue addressing the concerns and complaints of all. That's what we're doing. That's why we're having so much community outreach. We will take their advice and their input because this is their neighborhood as well, and we respect that. But it's all about making this an extraordinary city. I can't wait to build it with our friends, men and women of labor as well. Gary LaBarber, I want to thank you for representing labor, because labor gets it done. So this is a great day for New York. Look forward to showcasing and showing everybody the great possibility that is unfolding before our very eyes. We'll look back at this day sometime in the future and say, this is the day that the future started coming down the tracks right here at Penn Station in New York State. So thank you, everybody. And with that, let me welcome MTA Chair Janno Lieber.
Welcome to New York, where everybody doesn't agree all at the same time. I just want to echo what the governor said about Dick Ravich. This is in some ways, he is the father of the modern MTA. When I was a kid and the subway system was as bad as it's ever been, Ravich stepped up with the leadership of some other great New Yorkers and convinced us that it was possible to bring New York's most iconic public facility back to life and make it great. And it was accomplished, not all in Dick Ravich's tenure as chair, but it was accomplished. He helped set it in motion, and we are enjoying the benefits today with incredible on-time performance, incredible service to New Yorkers, and the energy that the governor has talked about bringing back to New York is evident in our mass transit system. Governor, I got to thank you. Obviously, as we're experiencing at this very moment, Penn Station is controversial. It has been for some time. People have been talking about it for some time, but you have brought energy to the effort to turn Penn Station around from being something that is an eyesore that New Yorkers are ashamed of and are scared about to something very different. And this is a forward-looking event, but I gotta say, look around at what's already been accomplished. During COVID, while so many people were not able to do their normal business. We took advantage, we at the MTA took advantage of that window of opportunity and totally transformed this section of Penn Station. People are coming out of, coming back to work, coming back to shopping, coming back to theater for the first time, and they're coming out of off the platforms and they're saying, what is this is amazing, where am I? They look around because of what we were able to accomplish. It's completely different, and it is, just a couple of key facts. All of those incredible structural impediments to people moving around have been changed. The ceilings were raised. The main spine of all of Penn Station has been widened so people can move around. And this is a total transformation of the subways and of the LIR, but it's also a proof of concept of what we can do and will do in the next phase. I want to just highlight a couple of the images. That, what you see on the screen, is the perspective from where we are standing of what is going to be the new train hall with light and air penetrating from above. You see that escalator bank that we created, which gives access and brings light in for the first time since Penn Station, the original Penn Station, was destroyed. But this area is great, but we'd like to turn it into an area under the governor's leadership that is the size of Moynihan Train Hall plus Grand Central Station combined. That's an amazing transformation, and you see it, how it could look. A huge train hall is possible because what we're standing in is the area between the office building, 2 Penn, on 7th Avenue, and Madison Square Garden. This is the area that you can, by removing some of the upper level, to bring light and down into the station. Here's another angle. From higher up, this is what you will see as you enter from 33rd Street. Again, this is possible because the area between Madison Square Garden and 2nd Avenue and 2 Penn is open and available. What is above this that we would take out? Folks don't understand this. What's above is the taxiway. It's an area that hasn't been used since 9/11. It's an area that was originally used for cars to pull up into Penn Station or to go to Madison Square Garden, but it's been closed. That gives us an opportunity to take what used to be a public space and turn it again into something that is the public benefit. And what we're not forgetting about is how the streetscape can be made much more dynamic and much better for the community. Right now, 33rd Street, which you're looking east on from this is the corner of 8th Avenue, you're looking east on 33rd Street, is for day after day, it's taken up by trucks. The Madison Square Garden sticks there because they can't get into their own loading dock. What we're proposing to do is to make it possible for Madison Square Garden to use their own loading dock without parking trucks on 33rd Street, and to turn 33rd Street into the kind of dynamic public space that New Yorkers and the folks in this neighborhood are demanding and looking for. It's always meant to be a very much different public space. And there's also a lot of talk about what to do about 8th Avenue. There are different ideas, and we're going to look at all of them. But whatever happens, the 8th Avenue experience on Penn can and will be changed. We think there's opportunity to do that by expanding what's going on at the corners where people naturally enter into transportation facilities. But as you see, there are other ideas as well, and we're going to be looking at all of them. But as you can see in any version of this, there is a dramatically different, more active Penn. And here's an entrance from 8th Avenue. Even if you don't take out the Hulu Theater, we think there are ways to dramatically improve the 8th Avenue experience. 8th Avenue, a huge train hall on 7th Avenue, more access, more safety, more access to the platforms. One of the reasons the Penn doesn't function well is we don't have enough stairs and escalators down to the platform. All of those things in tandem with the kind of openness that you're seeing here are what is going to transform Penn. The governor has said it again and again. Penn ought to be one of the crown jewels of our $1 trillion MTA asset. Yes, $1 trillion. That's what the MTA system is worth. We have to keep investing in it, and we have to keep the system in a state of good repair. I want to say that, notwithstanding some of the noise, to have this coalition of elected officials who represent the community and, together with Amtrak, my old friend Tony Kosha here, does represent a watershed. We have come together under Governor Hochul's leadership to make sure that we are changing Penn. And I want to thank Tony Kosha and ask him to step up to the podium to share. Thank you, Governor Hochul, for bringing us together.
I will try to speak in a way that everyone can hear me as best I can. It's great to be here with everyone today. And as the governor and Jano mentioned, this is a very special day for a lot of reasons. To those of you who I don't know, I've been at Amtrak and on their board for 10 years. And prior to that, I was the chairman of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and I'm a lifelong resident of New Jersey. And for over 30 years, I've been traveling in and out of New York City for both business and personal reasons, and I've used every form of transportation in order to do that. So I believe very much and understand very much what people go through for the basic needs of mobility around this region, and that's what today is about. Because this problem didn't start yesterday, it didn't start a week ago, it didn't start a year ago, it started many, many years ago. And for 30 to 40 years, people have essentially ignored the problem. They've kicked the can down the road. So what makes today so very, very special is that we are blessed to have leadership that is not kicking the can down the road any longer, that's picking it up and doing something about it. Governor Hochul is clearly that kind of a leader, and that's the example that we have here today. And we are honored at Amtrak to work with her, the MTA, and their leadership on being able to do this. We've been blessed with leadership in New Jersey with Governor Murphy, who's also been a partner in trying to do something to make these commutes better, to make it work for people on a broader level. And I have to admit, as someone who spends so much time in Washington dealing with what's involved in getting the kind of support we need for these initiatives, New York is represented by Chuck Schumer, and there is no more loud, forceful advocate in a very intelligent, meaningful way to make these things happen. Senator Schumer has been there at the very beginning, he will be there at the end, and he's made many things possible we've never envisioned. And I also have to thank the president, because if there is anyone in this country in the issue of infrastructure who's decided not to kick the can down the road, not to only start projects that fit within an election cycle, not to only do the easy things, it's Joe Biden. He has put more into making our lives better by understanding the value of infrastructure than any president in modern history. And for that, we are certainly grateful, and I think we all should be grateful to him. Now, we're here talking about Penn Station, and it's not just an ordinary building. Amtrak has owned it since it inherited it from the Pennsylvania Railroad in the early 1970s. And we've heard so much about what it does. And it's not just a home to Amtrak and the Long Island Railroad and New Jersey Transit and other railroads that have occasionally used it. It is something that represents a pivotal part of everyone's transportation needs. As we've pointed out, it's the busiest transit hub in North America. 1/3 of every Amtrak passenger either starts or ends here in New York City through this station. It is absolutely critical, not just to us and not just to the New York, New Jersey region and to the East Coast of the United States, but the entire nation. It provides connectivity to the most important financial capital in America. When Amtrak acquired this station, it was actually built many, many years before Amtrak took over the station, and it was designed for 200,000 passengers a day. Today, in 2019, it served over 600,000 passengers a day, yet the infrastructure was basically the same. In the last 5 years, Amtrak has invested over $300 million trying to keep Penn Station operational while we build these major projects. Not to mention taking the leadership role that we took in making sure Moynihan was built, again, a project that people talked about for years and was finally brought to fruition. When we talk about Penn Station and we talk about its reconstruction, it's part of a much broader initiative to rebuild the infrastructure that would create a modern transportation network for New York City. It's almost amazing to think this is New York, and it's taken until now for people to have the political courage to do it. We often talk, and I know you've certainly heard me speak about the Gateway program, building a new tunnel under the Hudson River, creating a modern 4-track system that will connect to a renovated Penn Station. An expanded Penn Station, which is also part of the plan, is something that will bring the kind of mobility to people that serves people on a very, very human level. Look, when you talk about people getting from one spot to another, it's not some bizarre abstract concept. You're talking about something that improves the quality of their life, that allows them to get to family, to get to work, to do it in a way that's more efficient. It also expands their economic opportunity. We owe it to the people we serve to give them that kind of accommodation. And that's what Gateway is about. That's what all our investment's about. Amtrak is investing through the Infrastructure Act around the country. We're building a new tunnel in Baltimore, bridges in Connecticut, in Maryland. We're investing $10 billion in refleeting our entire system because we believe passenger rail provides the kind of safe, efficient, environmentally friendly mode of transportation that the nation needs. This is our interstate highway system, and we are building it for ourselves, for our children, and for our children's children. Let me just finish by saying something, which is that not only are projects like reconstructing Penn Station or building the Gateway Tunnel important for themselves, but they're important in terms of our ability to demonstrate that we can work in partnership among states, among different transit entities, with our private sector partners, with our labor partners, that we can do this together. We can build complicated, important projects that are expensive and not easy in a built environment like Penn Station, that we can actually get this done. Because for 40 years, people were afraid to even try. And we need to prove to ourselves and to the world that we can build big things, and we can do it efficiently, and we can do it well. And so with that, I thank you for listening, and I want to introduce our next speaker, who's someone who I've known for many years. And during my tenure at the Port Authority, I will tell you that he was constantly educating me on not just the needs of the core business district of New York, but the needs in the community and the needs in the boroughs and other things. And he has been a staunch advocate for New York for many, many years. It's my honor to introduce Congressman Nadler.
Thank you very much. I'd be remiss if I didn't comment on the sad passing of Dick Ravich. I've known Dick for 45 years, and we've worked together for that entire time period on improving transportation in New York. And it was a shock to hear that he passed away last night, a week short of his 90th birthday. All New Yorkers have reason to be thankful for Dick Ravich. If there's one thing every New Yorker can agree on, it's that we deserve a Penn Station that's worthy of the greatest city in the world. To make this goal a reality, we have gathered here today to announce a set of principles to guide the rehabilitation of Penn Station, an essential project to ensure the long-term economic viability of not only New York, but the entire tri-state area. An undertaking of these proportions is no easy feat. It will require close coordination between the private sector and every level of government, federal, state, and city. And I thank Governor Hochul, State Senators Hoylman, Siegel, and Kruger, Assemblyman Simone, Borough President Levine, and Councilmember Botcher for their tremendous partnership and commitment to delivering a Penn that works for our community and the millions who pass through the station every year. With this plan in place, it is critical that we move swiftly to capitalize on the window of opportunity we have before us. I was proud to fight for President Biden's infrastructure law in Congress, which has already brought millions back to the city for Gateway and other critical infrastructure upgrades. Federal funding will be instrumental to this project's success, and I will continue to aggressively seek to use the infrastructure law and other federal grants so we can transform Penn into the world-class transit hub that New Yorkers deserve. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who shared their comments and our elected leaders who are here today. Happy to take some questions, but if I end up not being able to hear the questions, then we'll be quickly setting up a Zoom press conference to be able to answer your questions. So we'll give it one shot. If it's hard to hear the questions, then we'll regroup the press very shortly. So give it your best shot, but this is a sign that New York City's back. Our train stations are noisy and bustling and filled with people, and that's what we love about New York. Marcia, you get to be the guinea pig to see if we can hear you.
Governor, what I'd like to ask you about is what's going to happen to the buildings that were going to go up around Penn Station. I know that you think that the people behind you are going to be happy that you're concentrating on this project and getting this project done. And you also said that you were going to listen to what they had to say. But right now, can you tell us what's going to happen to the buildings around Penn Station if that's being put on the back burner while you concentrate on building this project?
Yes, and this is the news out today. We are decoupling two components, that we are going to focus on this building itself and the immediate environs to beautify the streetscapes and put in benches and plantings and community gathering spaces, and really, as we've been asked to do, to save the neighborhood. Longer term, again, when the demand is there, and we're not saying that there will never be demand again for office space, but we have to deal in the realities we're in. And I want to get this done. This is the building I'm focusing on in the here and now with this phasing of this. So that is, I think once that is understood by everyone, and I understand the cynicism around this, but when they see the plans, the scope of the project, the design plans that we're soliciting, they have nothing to do with exterior other than landscaping and making it beautiful and addressing some of the community issues like homelessness and others to make this neighborhood worthy of the neighbors who obviously care so deeply about it. So I admire the passion behind this. I've been an activist fighting for my community since I was a town board member, a council member. So I get it, but I do think that they're going to understand that we have heard them. We've pulled together with these elected leaders and transitioned to a phase that's going to say we are prioritizing the thousands, hundreds of thousands of commuters who deserve a lot better than they've been receiving for many, many years. And I'm going to jumpstart it. We're going to get it done. And this is going to be a great day that we remember going years into the future.
Hi, Governor. So is one of the conditions of the design this bit about removing the taxiway and building the train hall there? And I ask that because Madison Square Garden has made it clear they're not particularly interested in that. It would get in the way of their operations. They say they'd have to cancel Rangers games here for a year. So is that an aspect of this design that you're insisting on?
Today begins the design process. We are entertaining all options. So I'm not here to say that there is one plan. There are concepts that have been put forward by the design team that was selected to show us the possibilities, but we are not standing here wed to a plan. I want to be open-minded about all the possible scenarios that can be brought to us, and everybody has an opportunity to show us their vision for a brand new Penn Station. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, no. The governors have been absolutely clear that we're going to be looking at all options. I just remind us that taxiway was a public space. It was used for cars to come to Penn Station and to Madison Square Garden through a technicality of how they developed back in the 60s. Madison Square Garden owns it, but it was really a public space. And our view is that there are opportunities to return it to the public and make it something great. So we're going to be studying that as part of the all options.
Hi, good afternoon, folks. Can you just clarify for us, Governor, this might appear to be a concession to the neighbors and to the cause in this neighborhood? Can you sharpen the pencil for us on that?
Today we're moving forward with a plan that focuses on the commuter experience in this building as well as the neighborhood to lift it up, because these residents and everyone who lives here deserves better. So I don't know if this is a concession or not, but this is an acknowledgement that New Yorkers deserve the best, and under my administration and my leadership, working with these great elected leaders, we're going to get it done. New building, new surrounds, and it's going to be magnificent.
We could test the acoustics. What do you think of the acoustics, guys?
I can hear you if you can hear me, and I think eventually when everyone else in this community hears what we're talking about, there will be a change of heart. So clearly we need the media. Thank you for being here today. Help us get the word. This is not about the outlying surrounding neighborhoods and building. This is about a building and the immediate neighborhood, which we're going to make beautiful.
How is all this going to be paid for? There's a $7 billion price tag just for the concourse reconstruction. How is that funded without the tax capture that was supposed to come with the office
Right,
towers?
and that's an area where you can say, well, the funding from the original plan is not there because clearly the buildings are not going up. So let's just move on and maybe we'll see in a couple of decades. That's not how I operate. I quickly shift to Plan B, which is there's $1.3 billion already from state money on the table for this project. Also, we've already applied for money from the state federal pocket of money that's out there. That process just literally opened and we've applied for funding there. And then we'll be looking for our federal partners to see we're putting skin in the game. We're making a major investment and we'll be looking for other sources, but we're going to get this started and we're going to get it done. Anything else on the funding? Thank you. All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.